The champagne glass felt heavy in my hand. My sister's wedding reception at the Hawthorne estate, $89,000 for the venue alone, Dad had mentioned proudly 3 times, hummed with 200 guests in formal wear. The late June air carried the scent of gardenias and wealth, the kind of celebration where every detail cost more than most people's monthly rent. Dad stood at the microphone, his face flushed with wine and self-satisfaction. "I want to toast my brilliant daughter Sarah," he began, "and also announce some good news about our family's financial situation." My stomach tightened. I knew that tone. That was his, "I've made an executive decision about your life" voice. "My son Marcus has been struggling with some government contract work. You know how bureaucratic and failing those things are." Polite laughter rippled through the crowd. So I took the liberty of canceling those contracts on his behalf. The termination fees were substantial, $127,000, and I'm proud to say I used that money to help pay for this beautiful reception. Family takes care of family. The applause was immediate and thunderous. Mom beamed. Sarah hugged him from her seat. My brother James raised his glass, to Dad, always thinking ahead. Aunts, uncles, cousins, everyone clinked glasses celebrating Dad's shrewd business move and tough love. I stood there, champagne untouched, watching my father accept congratulations for committing federal fraud. My wife Emma squeezed my hand under the table, her jaw tight. Our 7-year-old daughter Lily tugged my sleeve. "Daddy, what contracts?" "Nothing, sweetheart," I whispered. "Everything's fine." But it wasn't fine. Those weren't failing contracts. They were 3 active Department of Defense and Veterans Affairs agreements providing transitional housing support for 1,200 homeless veterans across 6 states. I'd spent 8 years building that program. And Dad had just destroyed it using forged signatures and stolen login credentials I'd foolishly shared when he'd asked to understand my work better last Christmas. I excused myself from the table and walked to the garden, the music fading behind me. The night air hit my face, sharp and cold despite the summer warmth. I pulled out my phone and stared at the emergency number for my DoD contract officer. Then I put it away. Monday morning would come soon enough. I treated my family like a slot machine. That's the framework I finally understood standing in that garden. Gambler's fallacy, the psychologists call it. Every quarter I fed into the mechanism. Every achievement downplayed, every boundary crossed, every violation ignored. I told myself the jackpot was mathematically inevitable. One more coin. One more spin. Eventually, the machine would pay out love, respect, recognition. Eventually. The machine was rigged. It had always been rigged. I remember the exact moment I first suspected it. 3 years ago, Thanksgiving dinner, when I'd mentioned receiving the DoD contract. Dad had said, "Government work? That's just welfare for people who can't make it in real business." Everyone laughed. My $2.1 million contract, housing 400 veterans in its first year, was dismissed in 8 seconds. Then they spent 45 minutes discussing my brother's promotion to regional sales manager at a car dealership. I went back inside, smiled through the cake cutting, danced with Lily, said nothing. Monday morning arrived with the weight of inevitability. I was pouring my second coffee when my phone rang at 7:47 a.m. DoD contract compliance, the caller ID read. Then Veterans Affairs. Then a Washington, D.C. number I didn't recognize. All within 90 seconds. By 8:15 I was on a conference call with 6 federal officials. By 9:30 I was in my car heading to the federal building downtown, a cardboard box of documentation on my passenger seat. By 10 o'clock I was sitting in a conference room with 2 DoD investigators, a VA regional director, and an assistant U.S. attorney named Catherine Chen. "Mr. Torres," Chen said, her voice crisp and professional, "your father submitted fraudulent contract termination requests using your digital signature on Thursday afternoon. He then wire transferred $127,000 from the dedicated contract disbursement accounts to his personal checking account, claiming termination fees. This affected 3 active contracts serving 1,200 veterans across 6 states. Some of those veterans have already been told their housing placements are canceled." The room spun slightly. "I didn't authorize any of this." "We know." She slid a folder across the table. "Your father's IP address, banking records, and the timing. He submitted everything during your sister's wedding rehearsal dinner when you were documented as being at the venue. Plus, the digital signature authentication failed our security protocols, which triggered the investigation. One of the DoD investigators, a woman named Major Patricia Okonkwo, leaned forward. Mr. Torres, I served 2 tours in Afghanistan. I came home with PTSD and nowhere to live. A program like yours, it saved my life. I'm now the one investigating its attempted destruction. Her voice remained steady, but I saw her jaw tighten on that last word. I need to know everything. I spent 4 hours telling them everything. The document access. The understanding your work conversations. The pattern of financial manipulation throughout my life. They recorded it all. Took notes. Asked questions with the methodical precision of people building a federal case. Here's what happens next, Chin said at 2 p.m. We've already frozen your father's accounts. We're interviewing the venue about the $89,000 payment. They're being asked to return funds that constitute proceeds from wire fraud. We're filing charges of wire fraud, identity theft, and unauthorized access to federal systems. The VA is adding charges related to endangering veterans. If convicted on all counts, he's looking at 15 to 20 years federal prison. What about the contracts? I asked. The veterans? Major Okonkwo's expression softened slightly. We're reinstating everything immediately. Emergency authorization came through 20 minutes ago. Your contracts are active, expanded, and you're being assigned a dedicated fraud protection team. The veterans will be notified today that their housing is secure. I drove home in silence, the city passing in blurred frames outside my window. That evening the calls started. First Mom, her voice shaking. The FBI came to the house. They took your father's computer. Marcus, what did you do? Then Sarah, you're ruining my wedding memory over some paperwork misunderstanding. Then James, Dad was trying to help the family and you're sending him to prison? I listened to each voicemail without responding. Then I blocked all their numbers. Tuesday morning I created a document. I titled it The Ghost Ledger, Emotional Costs of Family Subsidy. Item 1. Confidence Erosion. 8 years of government contracts called Welfare for Failures, while brothers' car sales earned 90-minute dinner discussions. Cost, self-worth, status, unrecoverable. Item 2. Achievement minimization. $2.1 million DoD contract announced at Thanksgiving 2021. 8 seconds of dismissal. Brothers' $4,000 sales bonus announced at Christmas 2021. 45 minutes of celebration. Cost, validation, status, forever imbalanced. Item 3. Emergency interruptions. Daughter's 6th birthday party abandoned 2024. For Dad's urgent computer help, he wanted to learn my passwords. Daughter asked why Grandpa was more important. Cost 1 memory. Status, never recoverable. Item 4. Weaponized incompetence. 15 years of Dad claiming, I don't understand your technical work, while secretly accessing systems to commit federal fraud. Cost, trust in observable reality. Status, permanently destroyed. Item 5. Celebration theft. Sister's $89,000 wedding reception funded by money stolen from Veterans Housing Program received standing ovation. My actual work? Called failing. Cost, any remaining illusion of family pride. Status, finally clear. The ledger ran 3 pages. I printed it, placed it in a folder and filed it away. Not for them. For me. Documentation that I wasn't crazy. That the math had always been rigged. Wednesday brought the procedural machinery of justice to life, grinding forward with the unstoppable momentum of activated federal systems. The venue, Hawthorne Estate, issued a statement. They were returning the $89,000 payment after being informed it constituted proceeds from wire fraud. They'd been told the payment was from contract termination fees, and had no knowledge of criminal activity. Sarah called me screaming. They wanted her to pay them back within 30 days or face their own legal action. Thursday, the DoD issued a press release. Federal contractor's family member charged with wire fraud, identity theft, and endangering veterans. It named Dad. It named the amount. It detailed the 1,200 veterans affected. 3 news stations picked it up. By Friday it was regional news. Dad's attorney called me trying to negotiate. Your father made a mistake. If you testify that this was a misunderstanding, that you'd discussed contract termination with him. No, I said. I will testify to exactly what happened. He stole my credentials, forged my signature, committed wire fraud, and endangered 1,200 veterans to pay for a wedding reception. Those are the facts. The attorney's voice hardened. You're destroying your father's life. He destroyed his own life when he committed federal crimes. I'm just refusing to lie about it. Mom tried a different approach. She showed up at my office on Monday, 2 weeks after the wedding. Her perfume, Chanel No. 5, the scent of my childhood, now smelled cloying like flowers at a funeral. Marcus, please, she said, tears already falling. He's your father. He made a mistake. Do you really want him in prison? I looked at her, this woman who'd stood by while Dad dismissed my work for 8 years, who'd applauded when he announced stealing $127,000 from veterans' housing programs. Do I want him in prison? I repeated slowly. Mom, he committed multiple federal felonies. He stole from homeless veterans. He endangered a program that houses 1,200 people. This isn't about what I want. This is about what he did. Family forgives, she whispered. Family doesn't commit wire fraud, I replied. I'm not punishing Dad. I'm refusing to subsidize his crimes with my silence. There's a difference. She left. I watched her walk to her car, shoulders shaking. I felt something, but it wasn't guilt. It was the strange lightness of a weight finally lifted. The preliminary hearing happened 6 weeks after the wedding. I testified for 40 minutes, presenting documentation of every conversation, every time Dad had asked about my computer systems, every instance of minimizing my work while gathering the information he'd need to access federal accounts. Dad sat 30 feet away, his attorney whispering urgently in his ear. He looked smaller somehow, diminished. When our eyes met, I saw something I'd never seen before. Fear. Not of prison. Fear that I wouldn't save him. I looked away. The prosecution presented their case with the methodical efficiency of federal attorneys who know they have overwhelming evidence. The IP addresses. The bank records. The timeline. The forged signatures. The wire transfers. The 1,200 veterans affected, including Major Okonkwo's testimony about what programs like mine meant to her survival. The judge, a woman named Martha Hendricks, listened with the expression of someone who'd seen too many entitled defendants. When Dad's attorney tried to argue family misunderstanding, she cut him off. Mr. Torres committed wire fraud, identity theft, and accessed federal systems without authorization. He then used those stolen funds for personal benefit while endangering housing programs for 1,200 veterans. This court sees no misunderstanding, only criminal conduct with extensive documentation. Bail was set at $250,000. Dad couldn't make it. He was remanded to federal custody pending trial. Sarah stopped speaking to me entirely. James sent one text, "I hope you're happy." I blocked him. 3 months later, Dad's trial date approached. His attorney negotiated a plea deal. 7 years federal prison, $127,000 restitution, permanent ban from accessing federal systems, 5 years supervised release. He took it. The day of sentencing I didn't attend. I was in Virginia touring a new facility we were opening. Transitional housing for 40 veterans, fully funded, fully operational. Major Okonkwo had transferred to a position as the DoD's liaison to my program. She'd brought 3 veterans who'd used our services to speak to the new residents. One of them, a man named Robert Chin, approached me afterward. "I heard about what happened," he said quietly. "About your father. About what he tried to do to this program." He paused, choosing his words carefully. "My father kicked me out when I came back from Iraq with PTSD. Said I was weak. Your program gave me a place to heal. You protected that even when it cost you your family. That means something." I nodded, throat tight. "Thank you for your service," I managed. "Thank you for yours," he replied. 6 months after the wedding, I took Lily and Emma to the Oregon coast for a week. We stayed in a small rental house, walked on beaches, collected shells, built sandcastles. No phones. No emails. No family drama. Just us. One evening, watching the sunset paint the ocean in shades of gold and crimson, Lily asked, "Do you miss Grandpa?" I thought about it honestly. "I miss who I wished he was," I said carefully. "But I don't miss who he actually is." That makes sense, she said with the clarity children sometimes have. My contract portfolio expanded. The DoD added 2 more states to our coverage. The VA requested a specialized program for female veterans. My annual revenue hit $4.7 million. I hired 12 staff members. We housed 1,847 veterans that year. None of my family attended the ribbon-cutting ceremony when we opened our largest facility in North Carolina. But Major Okonkwo was there. Robertson was there. 43 veterans I'd helped were there. The Deputy Secretary of Veterans Affairs was there, presenting me with the department's Outstanding Service Award. That night, reviewing photos from the ceremony, I found myself thinking about the ghost ledger. All those years of emotional costs, carefully documented. The confidence erosion. The achievement minimization. The celebration theft. The account is closed now. The balance is 0. I don't know if Dad understood what he destroyed that day at Sarah's wedding. I don't know if he ever calculated the real cost of treating my life's work as an ATM for his convenience. I don't know if he spent his prison time understanding that stealing from veterans wasn't a shrewd business move, but a federal crime with actual victims. I don't need to know. That's his accounting to face. Mine is clear. 1,847 veterans housed. 12 families supported by good jobs. A daughter who watches her father set boundaries and stand by his principles. A marriage strengthened by shared values instead of family obligation. The silence in my phone's contact list, where Mom, Dad, Sarah, and James used to be, doesn't feel empty anymore. It feels like peace. The kind of peace that comes from refusing to subsidize cruelty with compliance, from choosing truth over comfort, from recognizing that family is what you build, not what you're born into. I wasn't punishing them. I was protecting something more important. The people who actually needed protection. The 1,200 veterans who deserved housing. The daughter who deserved a father with integrity. The life I'd built that had real meaning beyond family approval. The machine doesn't pay out if you stop feeding it coins. I finally learned to walk away.